ce soir, et tu as mis c'est quoi? Je suis, maybe, the only one I need. Bonjour, j'adore, you're all I want and more. Ça va, au revoir, it's only un, deux, trois. Un, deux, trois. Oh my God, we are the wild ones. We only live once. We wanna feel young. All night long, we don't ever wanna stop. C'est moi, ce soir, et tu as mis c'est quoi? Je suis, maybe, the only one I need. Bonjour, j'adore, you're all I want and more. Ça va, au revoir, it's only un, deux, trois. Un, deux, trois. Oh my God, we are the wild ones.
Hi, my name is Pam Green, and I have been in the entertainment and fashion industry for over 40 years. I've worked as an actress and a model for most of my life. I lived in LA for 20 years, New York for 10, and internationally for 5 of those years. I have walked in thousands of runway shows, appeared in catalogs, print ads, magazines, modeled in trunk shows, and fashion weeks all over the world. I've also acted in many TV shows, commercials, theater performances, and films. And along the way, I have met a lot of fabulous people in this fashion and entertainment world, some of which have gone on to be some of my dearest friends. And I would like to share their stories with you. I want people to see the grit, the class, and the strength that it takes to not only be in this industry, but to have longevity in it. I want to give some insight into what life is really like in this business. This world is not all glitz and glamour, but it certainly can be fulfilling and exciting and sexy and open up incredible opportunities in this life. But there's a lot more than what you see behind those pretty faces. I want to share a bit about their lives after the shoot ends, in the dressing rooms, backstage, behind the scenes, at home, and off the runway.
We are the wild ones. We only live once.
Today, I am super amped up to introduce you to my hot Colombian supermodel and best friend, Diana Hare. Diana has been modeling since she was 14 years old, and she still makes a living at it today. She has modeled internationally and nationally, and has graced the covers of many magazines and billboards, as well as walked more catwalks than we could possibly count. She's quite known in Colombia and in South America. Diana has a very international mixed family with 2 wonderful kiddos and one damn good-looking husband. Today, Diana has become one of the best runway coaches in the U.S., leading her to train many of the Miss USA contestants from all over the United States. Hi, Diana. I'm so excited to have you here today on our very first Off the Runway podcast. So welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be your first guest.
Awesome. So I'm going to start the show every single time with the same question for every model. And I wanted to ask you, how did you get started in modeling? And do you think that modeling was an easy or a difficult path to choose in your life?
So my story is very cliche. I got discovered like most of the stories you hear. I was in a store in South America where they developed pictures. I went with my grandfather. I'm looking at the pictures and there's a lady next to me, looking at her pictures. And of course I'm Latina and I'm super nosy. And I was like looking at her pictures and then she looked up at me. I looked up at her and she goes, "Do you do castings? Do you do commercials?" And I said, "No." And she goes, "Do you want to do it?" I went, "Sure." And that was it. And I started doing commercials and then she introduced me to my agent.
Okay, so she was just a random lady, or
random
she
lady
was in the industry?
No, she actually was doing like a director for castings for commercials.
Right.
And I just happened to look at her personal stuff because she had like a picture of
Yeah.
like teddy bears or a baby or something. I'm going, "Oh, that's so cute." And so she saw me looking and I was like, "I'm so sorry, but that's so cute." And then she just kind of like stared looking at me and says, "Do you do modeling? Do you do acting?" And I said, "No, I don't." And she's like, "Do you want to do it?" And I said, "Sure." And she gave my grandfather her card and we called her and that was it.
So you're with your grandfather at that time. I'm sure
grandfather.
he was like, "What is happening?"
Oh no, he was super
Right?
excited.
Super excited.
He always wanted me to be like a pageant queen and represent Colombia.
Oh,
yeah.
And so had you ever thought about modeling at that time? When that lady looked at you and you had that moment, had it ever been an inkling in your mind to model or act?
Not really. Because I was 16 at the time.
Yeah.
Almost 16, 15. My family, I had a cousin, older cousin, I think, who kind of saw it, and she was like, hey, because I just moved to Colombia. She's like, let me call some agencies up. And I was like, sure. And I really kind of dismissed it, because it's family.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks you're pretty in family. And I really never thought I had what it took.
Yeah.
Until this lady discovered.
I mean, you change a lot from that awkward, prepubescent teenager look all the way till you become a woman. So there's a lot of changes going on too. On top of being a little insecure as a woman, it's a difficult time, those awkward stages. And I've seen some of your young pictures, and it's so funny to see that young Diana first starting out. So a question I would have is, how did you feel at your first job? Like on that first job, did you say, okay, this is for me. This is something that I can do, and this is something that I feel comfortable at?
Oh, I was terrible.
You were terrible.
I was terrible. I mean, my first job was for soda, and I had to sit down, drink the soda, and go, delicioso. And I was so bad. They cut me out. They totally cut me out.
Did they show your face at least, or did they just cut out the line?
No, they just cut me out. Yeah, they cut me out. I'm in the back at some point. I mean, I got paid as principal, which is fine, but I was just a back. They totally cut me out. And then I got another role, and then it started kind of happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a shy kid.
Right.
So we'll talk more about my backstory, but I had some things happen to me that made me very, very, very shy. So by the time I started modeling, I was very insecure, very shy. I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know that go big or go home. That's what I tell all my friends now. So, and nobody was there to guide me, because my mom didn't know. Nobody in family knew. So I didn't know.
Most moms don't know. They just kind of push you to do it, but they have no clue how to teach you how to do it.
And I never took an acting class in my life.
Yeah.
So I had no idea. And then with experience with, just kind of watching other girls, I did a lot of that. Like as, throughout my years, I just kind of faked it.
Right.
And then I kind of got a little bit better. And as I got better, I was like, I can do this.
So I kind of feel like a lot of this industry, that's funny you said that, faking it. I feel like a lot of it is faking it. You learn on every single time you're on the set, there's something different, right? Different kind of people, there's a different situation. But I feel like as a young model or an actress, it is a lot of just kind of learning as you go. And being able to conform to each situation, because every single place is different, and you have a different person guiding you or directing you.
Right.
And sometimes their personalities, are kind of difficult, and sometimes their personalities are easy. And so I feel like you have to be an actress a little bit at some point to just get along with everybody.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, and we've learned to do that in our regular lives as well. Diana and I are also in the real estate business, and we have a real estate partnership. And we also have to do, you have to do a little bit of acting in that as well.
Of course.
And conform to everybody's personalities. Yeah, whether they're pleasant or not. So I did want to go back to, now we're talking about your family. I know your mom's Colombian.
Yes.
And your dad was
American.
An American guy. Mm-hmm. And how did they meet?
My dad was a geophysicist, and he had a big project in Brazil. And he would live a couple months in Brazil, and then he'd have like a month off, come back to the States. And, so he would just kind of do that. And he had an older boss. And his older boss one day said, dude, what are you doing? You're like in your mid-20s. You're good looking. I have a girlfriend in Colombia. Like, come to Colombia. The women are beautiful.
Stop.
And my dad said, okay. Well, his boss is much older, and his girlfriend was older. So he calls up the girlfriend. He's like, listen, I'm coming with my younger, coworker. He's in his 20s. Do you have anybody to introduce him to? So this woman was like, ooh, who do I know? Well, her dentist was my uncle / grandfather, who you know.
Oh,
And that's all weird. Like my uncle's
Yeah.
my grandfather, who's my uncle. It's not. I should probably clarify that, because that sounds weird. So
You're Colombian.
no, we're not that weird. My mom is the 8th of 9, and when she was 7, her father died. So her oldest sister was remarried, and they took her in and raised her. So my aunt and uncle are my grandparents.
Oh, that's right. Because
Yes.
when I went to Colombia, there was
met them.
something strange going on with that whole uncle, grandparents, and I
Yes.
couldn't figure it out.
So I call my grandparents, even though they're actually my aunt and uncle, because they raised my mom since she was 7. So that's why, like, my cousin Jaime,
yeah.
he's actually my cousin, but he's more like a brother, uncle. He's more like a brother to my mom, but he also lived with us for a while.
Yeah.
So he's very close.
But he's a first cousin to you.
He's
right?
a first cousin, but it's almost like we have our own little like family within our family. It's a very interesting dynamic. So that's why when I say my grandfather is actually my uncle.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
That's a cool story in and of itself. We could probably talk about that forever.
Yes. So he was a dentist, and this woman was one of his patients, and she goes, you know what, my dentist has his niece living with him. Oh, sorry, no, his sister-in-law. Sorry, not his niece. And she's in her young, early 20s.
Yeah.
Let me ask. So she asked my mom, and my mom was like, oh, gosh, gringos, no, they're so bland, they're so boring. And she never wanted to learn English in school. And my aunt and uncle were really strict. And she said, they're never going to let me go anyway. Like, I'll ask.
Yeah.
And they said yes.
Oh my gosh.
And my mom and dad went on a blind date. And apparently, he saw her. It was like love at first sight. And she looked at my dad. He was like 6 foot something, skinny with a beard. And she was like, ugh. And he brought a single rose. And, in Colombia, we sell roses. We're known for our roses. So you can get a dozen roses for just like $3.
Yeah.
So he thought he was being all romantic with that one rose. And she was like, cheapskate.
Cheapskate, you got me one rose.
One rose.
So like 25
You can give
cents.
me like 3 dozen for $5. So yeah. And then
that's funny.
So yeah,
I never heard that story because I was excited actually about today because I'm sitting there thinking about questions to ask you and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so many things that I don't know because as best friends, you don't sit around and go, okay, tell me about your first modeling job. Okay, tell me about how your mom and dad met, which I'm surprised I haven't asked that before. But now that you said that, I think maybe in the past
I'm sure
have.
my mom's told you. When you get around.
But years ago, now that you say that, but there are a lot of things you just don't ask each other.
Right.
So there's a lot of things I'm going to learn today, which is exciting for me. But so going back to now, we know your parents met and they're in Colombia. Did he bring your mom back to the States?
Well, what's great about their story is that she didn't speak English. He didn't speak Spanish.
Right.
They did like whole dictionary stuff. And he was, remember, living in the jungles of Brazil.
Right.
In the 70s. So he would send telegrams. And he would call her, and and then they would see each other every couple of months.
Yeah.
I think they were engaged by like 6 months, and by the year they were married.
Wow.
And I think from there they moved to Bolivia, then to Mexico. And
all that's through his work?
Through his work.
Okay, so they had to travel a lot for work. Because I know as a child, and I'd love to hear this, where all did you live? Where were you born? And then where did you live along the way?
So I was born in California because by this point, my dad's family lived in California, lived in LA. And so when my mom got pregnant with my sister and decided to have kids, they moved to LA to be close to his family. And my sister and I were both born in LA. And then after about like 2 or 3 years, he got a job in China. So we moved to China in the early 80s.
Interesting.
And then from there, we moved to England. And we lived there until about like 86, 87. And then we moved to Houston.
Okay.
And then we were here for about 4 years. And like my parents, about every 2 to 4 years would move. That was kind of like their thing. They agreed that they wanted to travel and see the world. And they did it with us. And my dad got a big job in Egypt. So he was working in Egypt on and off for about a year. And the company's like, you're moving. No, you're not moving. Yes, you are. No, you are. So we're like kind of like figuring out what we were going to do.
Right.
During the summer, my dad said, hey, can we just bring them over to hang out with us? So to hang out with me so I can spend my summer with my family. So we all went. And while we were there, we got in a car accident. And that's when my dad passed.
Okay, so that's something that I really want to talk to you about because I know that was a big tragic event in your life. And I know you just kind of skipped over it really quick, but I'd love to kind of dig into that a little bit more and hear about exactly what happened and where you were and where you were driving to and how that's affected your life.
Well, you're going to cry.
Okay,
and you're going to make me cry. And I don't like crying in front of people. You know that. I'm a softie, but I put on my facade.
I know.
So if you want me to talk about this,
you're
going to have to liquor me up.
Oh gosh, well, okay. Well, you're in luck because I did have some wine here for maybe a little bit later in the podcast, but it sounds like I'm going to have to pull it out now.
I think you should.
Okay. So look at that. Oh gosh, we have
that's cool.
Provided by our cameraman Will. We've got
Yay, Will.
Wildcat. Okay, we've got some Wildcat wine here. That's appropriate.
I like it. I like how it's sitting. Maybe I should.
That's
sit
right.
Like that
I
too,
think you should copy this wine. Yeah, foot
Okay.
up, crotch
it.
out. There you go. That's my classy model friends right there. There you go. Voila. And as you'll see through this podcast and many other podcasts, probably the models are probably the goofiest, least sexy off the runway, not in front of the camera as anybody you've ever met in your life, which is one of the reasons I kind of was like, you know what, people need to know that these beautiful women, because I don't think that you guys realize, I don't think that people realize that these models, in my opinion, are some of the most beautiful people I've ever seen in my life. And I'll tell you that I've traveled around the world. I still think that 5 of my best friends are some of the most beautiful women like I've ever seen, like ever. And so I think it's kind of weird to know that you guys are also goofy. You're real people. And I want people to like see that side.
Right.
And so I think this is going to be interesting, hopefully, to everyone and not just to me.
I mean, you probably experienced it. I feel people already think, they assume already before they even meet us, oh, she's a model. She's so pretty. She's got to be perfect. She's got these lights stuck up. And it's like, no, we're just as insecure. We have just as many, flaws. We just might know how to cover them a little bit better because we learn the tricks.
Yeah.
But, we're humans. We're women. And we go home. We take off our makeup. Our hair's frizzy. We're tired.
Yeah.
We look like shit. Like, you've seen me. I look like shit.
We're grumpy.
Yeah,
we got cat hair all over us from the dog or the cat.
I always tease and laugh and say that, when people are like, oh, you look good. I'm like, yeah, I actually brushed my hair today.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, I don't. It's like a messy bun, mascara from yesterday, and I just put on deodorant and I go.
Another funny story about Diana and I, which I think is funny, is that we don't like to bathe a lot. I'm not saying that we don't bathe, but I'm saying that, like, this is a funny thing. We model, we have to look pretty all the time, but we literally will be like, what day are you on? And I'll be like, day 3. What are you on?
Yeah.
And she'll be like, I'm going on 3.5.
Well, you always know, what does my baths revolve around?
Your hair.
Because I have really curly hair. And I mean, as curly hair girls know, like, you blow dry it out, you don't get it wet. It's so high maintenance.
Yeah.
So I mean, I do like the little.
Oh yeah, we do a bath,
Yeah.
But it's what I call I don't even know what that's called.
It's a full immersion of, like, in the shower. No, it's a whole thing. It's a whole production.
Oh, yeah.
Which is funny because my husband takes like 2-3 showers a day. Gosh. So I think we kind of compensate. Like, we balance each other out. Like, because if I took 3 showers a day, like, our water bill would be so high. But it was funny because the other day, I have Valencia, my little one, in summer camp and tennis camp.
Yeah.
And they do tennis in the morning, and then they do pool in the afternoon. And so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
So they get a bath.
And on Friday, I'm kind of looking at her, and her hair, she's super curly hair, and it's kind of like this, and it's like, my chicken is like crunch, crunch. And I look at her and I go, Valencia, when was the last time you took a shower? She goes, oh. So I turned to Coco and I said, did you bathe her this week? He goes, no, I thought you did. I said, well, I thought you did. She got to the pool Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we never bathed her.
It's parenting at its best.
Hey, you know what? She was happy.
I say the chlorine washed all the good stuff off. I say when my kid used to swim, I'd be like, you've had a bath. Yay. I don't have to deal with it.
But the reason we figured out is because we gave her a hug and we were like, you smell like pool.
That's funny. It had soaked into her
hair.
And her
hair was like just stiff, like straw.
So people can't see it now, but Diana has naturally curly hair, and she has very naturally curly hair. So she can wear her hair fully just out, or she blows it out and it's a whole ordeal, and she can wear it like this.
And this is why I do not bathe. It's all about the hair.
That's right. So we have to, baths are not our friend, okay? No, I mean, I just think it's funny.
But
when
there's a group of us.
Freak out.
But there's a group of us. I've started to like meet other women who are like this. I'm like, yes, welcome to the club.
But the funniest thing about it is that for modeling, I mean, I've gone to Neiman's on a 3-day dirty all day long. I've done fashion shows where I'm like, when did I wash my hair last? And you're on the runway and you're looking pretty and you're trying to look sexy and you're in these, $3,000 dresses and you're like, yeah, I had a bath like 4 days ago. Yeah.
Sure.
I just think it's funny. Sure I did.
Sure.
Well, anyway, let's get back to, we were about to talk about your dad, and we're going to get into a serious conversation, which I know you love.
Oh, yes.
But we poured you wine.
Okay,
so now we're going to cheers to
Salud.
The very first off the runway and having you as my first guest.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for coming.
So we stop at the gas station, get gas, and when I go to get into my car, get in the car, my door was jammed. And I don't know, whatever you believe in, being a higher being and God, but somebody was watching out for us because there's, 1 or 2 things that kind of happened, that were on that day that were kind of now looking back, that's interesting. Why was this door jammed? So my dad's like, don't worry about it. Just enter from the other side. So we do. And, because this is Egypt in the early 90s, there were no seatbelts in the back seat. Okay. So I am in the back seat and, we continue on our journey. And at some point, I think my dad kind of falls behind the other 2. I don't really know exactly what happened. So he starts going a little bit faster, speeding up. And the car wasn't maintained very well because it was a company car.
Right.
And apparently like the back, I think it was the right tire, exploded.
Ugh.
So when you're going at a certain speed, apparently if you don't have both back tires, you can't brake and you lose control of the car. So the car starts, zigzagging, and we're out in the middle of nowhere. Like we have the mountains on one side and we have the Red Sea on the other side. And we start zigzagging. My dad's trying to control the car, having, slow it down, or I don't even know what he's doing. But
is he saying anything to you at this time? Or is he?
All I remember is, the sound. It was like, boom, like a really huge explosion. I'm like, what is that? And then my mom went, "Ay, Roberto." And for me, the only thing I remember is I stood up. I see like his little hair was sticking up, like right here. That's all I remember, his little hair. It's the weird things that you remember, right? Because he had like straight, like dark brown black hair, and it was like super straight, and it's just kind of sticking up, kind of like a Dennis the Menace. And he's trying to control the car, and it's zigzagging. And we're like, "Daddy, what's going on?" And life, irony, just whatever you want to call it, there was a hole in the street, and that hole where the tire hit that hole.
Right.
I mean, just luck of the draw. And when it hit, it made the car flip.
Oh gosh.
So we flipped like 2 or 3 times.
Oh my goodness! And you didn't have a seatbelt on.
No seatbelt. So like
and
my
your sister?
my sister was in the other car.
Okay.
So my memories of the car accident is like us flipping, and then the car flips 2, 3.5 times. I don't remember. And we had the in the back, because it was a station wagon, we had all like the sodas, and it's the 90s.
Yeah.
So they were in glass bottles. So they start like falling out, exploding, breaking. Sand comes in. The doors, because when the car flips, it smushes. So the front windshield popped out. The doors flew open. But remember, mine was jammed.
Oh yeah.
So when the doors flew open, my mom and dad had their seatbelts on, but the girl I was with was flung out of the car towards the ocean.
Oh God.
Mine was jammed, so I wasn't flown out into the street. They say if I had been flown out into the road, I probably would have been killed.
And what happened to the girl that?
She flew out into the beach.
Okay.
The sand, so she was kind of flung out, so she was fine. So it flipped, and because it kind of like smushed, my dad was about like 6'2", 6'4", I don't remember. So it hit his head because he was so tall. And the car stopped, and the 2 other cars came back around to help. And I really don't have a lot of memory. Obviously, I going to shock. And then another miracle was, this is a really deserted road.
Right.
The car behind us that came maybe a couple minutes behind were 2 medical students.
Oh, stop.
And they were on their way to where they were doing like some sort of something. I don't know. So they knew where the nearest hospital was. So they took us to the closest village with the hospital.
You like in their car?
In their car.
Yeah.
We all went in the car. So they took us there. And once I was there, like they started cleaning, like, our wounds. And they took my dad and started doing surgeries. And they were called, I guess, the hospital in Cairo. And we were waiting for a helicopter to arrive. And during that time, then I went into shock.
Oh gosh. I mean, I'm sure that was like so traumatic.
Let's drink. Should we chug it?
You do yours like a shot. And I'll sip mine because I'm already feeling it. Believe it or not, I'm such a lightweight. But okay.
So yeah, like what I remember, people would come and like talk to me, like the nurses and the doctors. And I even had a woman who's so kind come and show me her kid to try and like make me happy.
Right.
And then I don't know how many hours we were there, but at the end they came back and I didn't recognize them. I was like, I don't know you. I've never seen you. I was in shock.
When she was talking to you.
The first part, I was in shock. So later on when I started kind of, I guess, relaxing or whatever happened, my face wouldn't register their faces.
Yeah.
And my mom was with me. She's like, you know them. This is your doctor. Or this is a nurse. I was like, I don't know them. I've never seen them before.
Wow.
But then I think when they started talking to me, I'd recognize their voices. And that was when I realized how much in shock I had been in.
Yeah.
So then the helicopter arrived, and it took my mom, my dad, myself, and then the boss's wife. It flew us to Cairo.
And did you have injuries at that time?
I did. So, because, when it smushed and I had been no seatbelt on.
Right. You were thrown around.
It messed up my knees. Like I have scars on my elbow. Like, I have this scar right here.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So a piece of glass, it also was a miracle, like cut here. And they said if it had gone across, I would have lost my eye. But by some miracle, it just went down.
Right above your eye.
Just went down. So we were flown, and then everybody else drove back to Cairo. And when we got to Cairo, they sewed up my eye, my elbow, my knees,
Yeah.
and I was actually in a wheelchair for a while because I couldn't walk.
Oh my gosh. So you like probably had bone bruises or whatever else deeper than.
And that's why I have to ask my mom.
Yeah.
I think I had a bunch of like glass in there because
Oh gosh.
flipped.
Yeah.
So I do remember, like I would look and I would have bottle cap imprints because
Oh
when
my
I was
gosh.
thrown,
Yeah.
the bottle caps, and I had glass, like in my knees, my elbows. And they did some surgeries on my dad. Like I spent the night I want to say I spent one night in the Cairo hospital, and then we spent a night at the boss's house, and then we all flew out to Geneva because they had sent my dad to Geneva.
Goodness. And then your dad hadn't passed away. He was still
No.
alive. He was living. Okay.
And on the way to Geneva, apparently his heart gave out.
Oh gosh. Hmm. I never heard that story. I mean, I knew the story, but I never heard all the details of it. So on his way to the next hospital, his heart gave out. It couldn't handle, I guess, the.
So he was on a machine, and my mom had to make a choice.
Oh gosh. At the hospital or on the way? Yeah. She just had to make a decision and yeah. What she was going to do. Wow. Gosh. Well, I'd talk, but I can't really right now. But I'm really sorry you had to go through that. It's obviously traumatic, and I'm sure, and I know that's affected your life, probably more than you know, but I know it affected your life immediately. You and your sister and your family probably changed your whole, direction of your whole life, where you were going to live, what you were going to do, how your mom took care of you guys. And so what happened right after that? Like, where did you go back to live, and what did you decide?
So we went back to Houston.
Yeah.
Obviously. My mom never worked a day in her life. So what do you do? So my poor mom, she had a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old. When,
Yeah.
I turned 11. My sister turned 13 a little bit right afterwards, but still, we were young kids.
Yeah.
And my mom wanted to move back to Colombia, rightfully so.
Yeah.
But my sister and I were old enough where we were like, no, we have our friends. This is our house. Like, don't make us leave.
Right. Teenagers.
And
Or almost.
And unfortunately, my mom, she had made the mistake of whenever we were naughty, would kind of threaten us with her stories of growing up. So when she was young, my aunt and uncle had put her in boarding school with nuns. And so she'd say, if you're naughty, I'm going to send you to the boarding school with nuns in Colombia. So when my dad died, we're like, we don't want to go to school in Colombia. It's the boarding school with nuns where they're so strict. And we just, because that was always kind of like the thing she would use
Yeah. To threaten you.
to threaten us with.
Yeah.
So when it came time to it, we were like, we don't want to go.
It backfired on her because she had already tried to scare you with it. Yeah. And
But
somehow.
I think a part of her also wanted to stay at home because the house
Yeah.
for my dad, and we already had a life. I don't know how different life would have been if we decided to move to Colombia and live there.
So you stayed in Houston
We stayed
from
in Houston.
what age on?
Since then, so my dad died right before I turned 11.
Okay.
And since then,
And wait, where were you when you started modeling though?
well,
Okay.
so we were there. So I went to 5th grade right after that. Yes, because I remember my dad died when I was right before 5th grade, and we stayed. And then we'd always go back to Colombia because now my mom, we'd always spend holidays with her family.
Right.
So we do
She
Christmas.
probably wanted to go for all the holidays.
And summer, we'd always go back to be with her family. And my sister fell in love with a Colombian.
Oh gosh, I don't think I heard this story.
She had a Colombian
Some good stuff.
boyfriend. And when she graduated, she decided to do college in Colombia.
Okay.
I think she just wanted to kind of live life there as an
Yeah.
adult and see what would happen with this boy. And my mom, of course, she'd lived outside Colombia for so long, and said, you can do it if you can convince your sister.
And we'll all go.
We'll
live
all
there.
go.
Okay.
And my sister said, let's do it. And I said, let's do it.
Gosh, that's so cool.
And so I went and I did my sophomore year of high school in Colombia.
And that's when you got your start in modeling.
And that's my starting
So
model.
that's fascinating. You go back for this 1 year at the time.
Well,
you
it
didn't know
was
how long
1
was
year
gonna be.
or to finish high school. It was my choice.
Yeah.
And, I went to Colombia that 1 year, did high school, and I will say, I love Colombia. I do. But as an American going to do school in Colombia, the culture shock was really hard. And I actually had a very hard time that year. I had great friends, and I'm still friends with them now, like a little circle.
Yeah.
But it was hard. It was really hard. It was, I think back on
Culture
there was a
shock.
lot of, there's a lot of things that kind of went down, like, ooh,
Yeah. And here you were, I mean, and like everybody from all over the world think that everybody looks a certain way in certain countries because the Colombians are beautiful. Went there with you, beautiful, all different color hair and eyes. But did you feel like you stuck out in any way, not just because you made up look different, but because you were so pretty? Did you notice anything there?
I think that was the first
an American
time I
girl?
started noticing. Like
Yeah.
I had never realized that I was pretty.
Yeah.
So then when I went there, I started noticing it. And I was like, oh, it's because I'm the American. Like, ay, la gringa, la gringa.
Yeah.
And then when I got discovered and then the boys started paying a little bit more attention, I was like, oh, well, maybe I'm a little bit prettier than I thought. But
Yeah.
I think we've talked about this for a really, really long time in my modeling career. I always thought, I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be there and I'd look at the other girls and it's like, I don't belong.
Yeah.
Why am I here? Like, I'm not as pretty as them. I'm not as thin as them or tall as them. I'm not as great as them. Like, why am I here? I always had like the imposter syndrome. And so it was a little bit of that. But I thought, oh, it's because I'm American. I'm different. Like,
Yeah.
I'm the unique new flavor at the school.
The flavor of the week is what you thought for a second. But
And that's
little
why
did you
everybody
know,
likes me. Yeah.
you were hot. As I introduced you as my hot Colombian friend. And you're still the hottest friend I know.
Yeah. It's because I show my boobies. As
Yeah,
you
it's
say.
because you dress sexy. No, it's not.
Oh.
You look cute in your pajamas. But so then after that year, you decided to come back to the States. And then, of
Because
course,
my
now
year
you're
there was
modeling.
so traumatic.
There you go.
And that's a whole nother podcast we can talk about. But yes, I came back. I told my mom I want to finish high school here. My sister stayed. And then, you know, I had met my agent. You know my agents from Colombia, Mauricio. They're
Oh, yes.
amazing. Mauricio and Juan Carlos, they're like the best.
So we
people ever.
spent Diana's 40th birthday in Mexico, in Cancun, and she invited everybody that she loved, that was dear to her, you know, to come and celebrate with her. And her agents that had been her agents through the years, which were absolutely fabulous and wonderful.
They're no longer my agents. They're family.
Oh, they're right.
Yeah, they're family.
You're right. I mean, I could tell. Yeah. And they were just precious, and I instantly fell in love with them. And I tortured them. I took them on a little side trip in Mexico. That's a whole nother funny story because I think I horrified the guys because I was driving in Mexico and they were like, "Oh, Pamela, oh!" Every time I'd hit a speed bump or
Oh no! The best one is, you know, when the cops pull you over and
Oh,
you're
yeah,
like,
that was-
"I've got Colombians in here," and they're like, "No, you don't say that." And you're like, "I got Colombians in here." You're like, no, no.
I was trying to, you know, throw the attention off of me, and the guy came up to the
You're so nice. Throw it on the Colombians.
window. Well, I was being funny. I could tell the guy was kind of smirking, and I was talking to him, and he's like, first of all, I said, I'm out of gas, so I'm trying to speed to get to a gas station. So I went, I think, the wrong way down the wrong street. I hit a speed bump. I think I was speeding. I told the guy, listen, I'm out of gas, but I've got some Colombians in the back. And they were like, what?
You don't do that. You don't do that.
They actually thought they were going to go to jail.
Probably.
I was like, you're fine. We're in Mexico.
We'll bail you out.
We'll be okay. But I horrified them.
Oh yeah.
That was the point of that whole
But
story.
they're so funny. So, you know, so I'm living in Colombia, I met Mauricio, Juan Carlos, amazing, became family. And then when I moved back to Houston, I said, you know, I have to finish high school in Houston. I can't do this. in
Can't do this Columbia High School thing.
I can't do Columbia High School thing. Yeah. So I finished high school, but then I started modeling a little bit here. Like I found an agency in Houston, and
And who did you start with?
I started with Neil Hamill.
You started with Neil Hamill.
Yeah. Paige Parks didn't want me.
Woo. Okay, this is
They
funny.
so I went and I met with both, and I kind of showed them what I had done in Colombia, and Paige Parks wanted me to go through the school.
Right.
And Neil Hamill said, Jennifer was like, no, you can go straight to the agency. So it was a no-brainer. And so I started with Neil.
My gosh, this is fascinating. I think people at home don't realize how fascinating it is because Paige Parks and Neil Hamill are the two biggest modeling agencies in Houston, Texas, just so the people can hear this. And so you want to go with them. There are other modeling agencies, but these are the two ones that have longevity and history. And fascinating that you go to Paige.
I went to both, yeah.
So she's with Paige now. So I'm going to go ahead and say she is with Paige Parks. Diana's with Paige Parks. I'm with Paige Parks. But this is a fascinating story that you went to them and you didn't feel like they were excited to have you. They wanted you to go through the class.
School, and I was like, I'm working. Why? And so then when I went to Neil, same thing. They were like,
Yeah.
you really work. You know what to do. Like, why would you go to school? Let's just get you working and making money.
Perfect.
So I did, and I wouldn't get booked. It was hard. Like it was really hard for the first 2 years here in Houston. It was so hard.
Well, you were so young. Maybe it was because you were so young.
There were
I mean, you're
girls
like,
my age who would get booked. They didn't
yeah,
want to book
but
me.
you were
So-
young.
So a lot of people don't realize, like I really struggled the first 2 years here in Houston.
That is fascinating.
Nobody would book me. I would do like the club shows.
Yeah.
But Neiman Sachs and other stuff, or I would present castings and nobody would book me.
Yeah.
I would not get booked.
And okay, one of the reasons that's fascinating, again, for the viewers at home is that, Dinah's been working as a model for the past 28 years of her life. And she works all the time, and she's done some incredible things. I mean, billboards, Runway, worked all over the internationally. So this is such a cool story to me to hear, because I've never even heard this, and I kind of had a similar as you kind of beginning. So it's interesting to hear, and I don't think I ever heard that.
Yeah, I didn't give up.
Because I went to Neil first too.
Yeah.
So it's just, and they told me I needed a nose job.
Oh.
They were like, we love you, but we think, your nose is a little big. You should get a nose job. And at 14, I was quite horrified. And so it's fascinating to hear that you kind of had a similar story with this. And I don't think people that look at models and think, oh, your life's been easy. You were pretty.
Right.
Somebody came along, told you were pretty, and boom, you're just making money. And how hard is your life? Mm-mm. They don't even know how hard the modeling industry is, but how it can start out at this very insecure, rough place where you question whether or not you should even be doing it, right?
Right.
And it's hard on a young person, because a young person's already questioning things about themselves. Am I pretty? Do I fit in? Do boys like me? Who am I as a human? Because you're just growing and discovering yourself. So then you go over to Neil, and they love you, and you start.
So I started working and going to castings and wouldn't get booked. And it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard because, I remember just being like, please let me get this. Please let me get in. Like, nope, you didn't get picked. And I remember as a senior, I went to New York to visit my cousin Jaime.
Yeah.
I went and spent like a week in there. My mom sent me, and he had a really good friend that was a photographer. And we did a photo shoot, some of the really coolest pictures. Like, we spent the whole time just having fun, and my mom from like my book. And then security, where I turned to Steven and I was like, Steven, will I make it? Is it worth it? Am I wasting my time?
Yeah.
And he said to me, he's like, yes, but you need to lose weight in your thighs. And I was like 17, 18. And that was always the thing I got for the rest of my career. I was like,
we struggle with that our whole life.
I'm a Latina. I got thick thighs and a butt. But
yeah.
I had a Japanese scouting agent told me, you're so nice, you're so beautiful, but from your waist up, you're American. From your waist down, you're so Latina.
Yeah. Well, I got the same thing in any of the Asian countries. I was told I was too big. Too big. And I was like, okay, I'm too big. But that's hard to hear.
Yeah.
When someone tells you your hips are too big or your legs are too big. And that's another thing I think people don't realize. You hear that a lot in this industry, whether it's true or not, whether it's reality or not in real life. But I got told I was the big girl. I remember in other languages, I would learn what fat or the big girl meant.
Right.
And I could hear them saying, oh, we'll put it on the big girl, or she's a little big in the butt and the hips. But that's what you get when you got a little bit of curve, right, in this industry. Yep. And so that's hard on your self-esteem.
I was a lanky kid, and I danced ballet.
You were skinny.
So I had a ballerina body, and I remember my mom. Thank God my mom, because they said, we want you to come to Japan, but you have to lose 8 pounds. And my mom said, no way. There's no way you're going to lose 8 pounds.
Yeah.
And she said, no, you're just not going to go to Japan, and I didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for that. She was smart in that aspect.
Yeah, she was like, I'm not putting her through some kind of torture where she's trying to lose weight when she's already a skinny kid, and then they're going to make her feel like she needs to lose more weight. Where do you lose it? At some point, it's also interesting. I remember I was anorexic feeling, and I was still told I had too big of hips. And I was like, well, there's nothing else I can lose because there's no fat on my body. It's just bone, but you can't shave your bone off.
And that's one of the biggest things I've always said about modeling. My biggest, I'm like, this doesn't make sense when it comes to measurements. Because it's bone structure. Right. So I can have a larger measurement in my hips, be like a 37, 38.
Yeah.
But fit smaller than somebody has a smaller measurement because their hips are wider. So I can fit a size, let's say at the time when I was younger, I could fit like a 02 because my butt squishes in the pants.
Right.
My hips were very narrow. Whereas somebody who had a smaller measurement, they had wider hips.
Yeah.
They couldn't close the jeans because their hips were wide. But her hips. So I said, I don't think this thing about measuring ourselves is actually accurate. I think it should be about going in and trying on the clothes for your body structure.
Exactly. And then also, like you said, some people have bigger hip bones. Some people, you're hard as a rock. There's no fat on your body, right? And to me, you should have to go in and they should fit you accordingly if you're a beautiful woman, because all people have different shapes and sizes. But in the modeling industry, and of course, one of my questions for you was, what's your most, some negative aspects about this industry? And obviously we're talking about one right now, because when people will make you feel like you're big or you're too big, when all it is you're not fitting into this little cookie cutter of what they want you to fit in, but it doesn't mean you're big. I mean, you could have, I know you have like very low body fat percentage. And I've always had that too, but that's something that is a negative aspect of the industry, and does weigh on you, and especially young people. I know that it does. I've watched young people get sad or upset about it or get turned away because of their bodies or not fit into things, and they're made to feel big. And then I've experienced it, and obviously you have as well. So that is something that, you know, when I tell people, did they want to get in the industry? And that's a question I have for you, because I've had this question a million times. How many times have you had a mom or a friend, because this is so common when you're in the modeling industry, come to you and say, hey, I've got this niece or I've got this daughter and they really want to model, and then they pull out a photo and they show you a picture, and sure, the girl's cute as hell. And you're like, yeah, that's a cute girl. But then, you know, we know there's a lot more to it than that, right? What do you say or think in your mind when someone comes to you and asks you that question? What goes through your mind?
So I'm always polite, and I say, let me see a picture, and I ask, how tall is she? How old is she? Or he, you know, that's main things. And depending on what they say from there, I'll tell them, okay, well, I'm going to be very honest with you. She's not going to be a runway model, or she could be, or, you know, she's too young. Because I get a lot of, I get so much of, hey, Diana, my kid, I think they should model. I'm like, okay, how old are they? 1. I'm like,
yeah, 2.
I'm like, no, because really, there's really no work for babies or toddlers or even young kids. I tell them, I was like, okay, you want your kid to be a model? And I had this conversation with my cousin. Like, they have a 1-year-old son. He's super cute. And I said, okay, but you understand, you live in Savannah. If you want your kid to model, it's in Atlanta. Are you prepared to be driving back and forth? Because it's going to be you.
For casting.
For castings. And then even if your child books this job, because they're a child, their rate is so much lower. So are you prepared for the time and the money that you're not going to really make? You know, like, they think it's like, wow. And then when you tell them, like, oh, wait, what? It's like, you're going to be doing a lot of driving back and forth. And then when you do get that job, if you get that job, it's probably not going to be the paycheck you're expecting.
Exactly. And then they'll say, oh, we'll put it toward their college, or we'll put it. And I'm thinking, it's not enough to really matter. I mean, it's really more about, is it a dream of your child's, or is it a dream of yours? Because if you're willing, like you said, put in the time and the effort because of the hype of it all, of the excitement of it all, to say that they've been in a modeling thing. And I even feel that way about young models. Like, if a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old wanted to start, I look at them, same thing, and I'm like, do you really have what it takes? Because I don't think people realize it takes a lot more than just being a pretty face. Just like you said, you got to be a certain height, a certain size. Are you able to talk to people? Are you able to be personable? Are you shy? Like, there's a whole bunch of things that go into it, where you're looking at this kid and you're like, I hope they have some of these qualities, but I can't ever guarantee or tell you that this person's going to be able to model, because you have no idea, you know. And then you meet them in person. Sometimes I've met some of the girls in person, and they're real big boned. They might be thin, young, pretty, but big boned, really big boned. You know what I'm talking about. More of an athletic build. And then what do you say to that girl?
So I always tell, like, the parents, I say, okay, this is, and I kind of give them that layout, like height, age, size, whatever. And I say this, and I just kind of explain it. Like, I try not to.
Yeah, you try not to judge. But...
And then I say, regardless, go to the agency, see what they say. And I always tell them, just letting you know, if they truly believe that your daughter has what it takes, they will sponsor her in the school.
There you go.
And if they don't, the classes are still great for her to learn about herself, how to, you know, move her body, how to walk, how to do her makeup, her hair, whatever it is. But if they don't sponsor her, you know what that means.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. I hear people all the time like, oh, these 2 modeling agencies want to pick me up. It's only $600 or it's $1,200 to get started. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, because you shouldn't be paying someone to model. So if you're paying someone to model, you're not actually being asked to model. You're being asked to pay money to go through a training, which doesn't guarantee anything. I mean, like you said, it's great for self-esteem. It's great for learning about yourself as a human. And if you want to do it just for those reasons, I say it's fantastic. Paige Parks and Neil both have classes. And Paige Parks, you know, focuses a lot on the self-esteem part.
And I think it's great. I think the classes are great. Like, I know, like, I want my children to go through it, even if they model, I don't model. I think I didn't do it. I wish I had. Because I think it's great for every girl to know how to dress herself, present herself, speak, walk, hold herself. I think they're great classes. But if this is for the career, if you think your child's going to model, see if they'll sponsor you. And that will tell you how much they actually believe in your kid.
I agree.
Or if you're just another number, another paycheck. I hate to say that. But.
Yeah, I agree. And never, ever give money to these online, you know, clinics or whatever it is, you know.
Unless it's Walk the Walk by Diana.
Yeah, there you so yeah. So moving on, I want to ask you, what are one of your greatest experiences in modeling? And what I mean by that is it could be anything. It could be your most fun job that you've ever
Oh my
done,
gosh.
or could be just like the biggest job you've ever done. I mean, I've seen you on billboards. So just so you know, guys, I drive around the city and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's my best friend on a giant billboard and she looks gorgeous and I'll take pictures and I've posted on Instagram like this is what happens when you have best friends that are supermodels. But that's exciting for me to see when you do stuff like that. So I know you've done some big stuff. So tell me maybe one of your biggest jobs you've done, either here or in Colombia, because I know you've modeled also extensively in Colombia through your career.
So I did a lot in Colombia. One of the biggest things I probably did was I was on a soap opera, which a lot of people don't know.
Hey.
And it was showed on Caracol, and it was actually sold to Univision, so it was showed here in the States. So you can find, apparently a friend of mine found it on Vix, some.
Oh, I think yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So she found it and she saw it and we watched it. Oh my gosh.
Stop. I'm totally Googling
No,
it.
don't.
I'm finding you.
It's so embarrassing.
Don't worry, I'll find you.
I mean, I did it, zero acting experience, threw myself in it. Yeah.
They take one look at you and they were like, you're going to be on our soap opera. And you're like, wait, I don't feel
I don't know
ready.
how to act.
And you're like, whatever.
And I just did, and I did it. Like, fake it until you make it. And I did. And it was fun. It was hard. It was hard work, but it was a lot of fun. So in that aspect, I got to experience, fame.
Yeah.
And that's a whole another thing. I experienced, like, I was that person I'd walk down the street and people would stop me for my autograph, which a lot of people don't get to experience.
Yeah.
I was telling Emmy about it the other day, my oldest daughter, and she was like, what? I was like, I was famous.
Yeah.
She's like, no, you weren't.
Oh, no, I said it in my intro. I go, she's kind of known in Colombia. Like, people
not
still
so
know
much
who
like
you
now,
are. But
but
I know how it goes.
Yeah.
But people still know who you are because I will mention you to Colombians and they're like, oh, wait, yes, okay, I remember her. Which is kind of cool because you've been on covers of magazines there in Colombia as well, for the modeling or for the acting, but for all of it together, which is fascinating.
So, I mean, was in like that, going back to the fame, for me personally, people are like, oh, why don't you continue acting? It's like, I didn't like it.
Yeah. I could see you not liking it.
And we talk about it, like the actors, and I look at the Beyoncés and the Britney Spears and all these big actors, like their lives are so isolating, and I didn't reach that fame. But I'd walk the street, and and I loved it. Like the kids who got excited, that was sweet. But I'd go with Mauricio and Juan Carlos to Towered Records, when that was still a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And we would go get coffee, and we'd read magazines and sit there, and then somebody would come by and they'd whisper, oh, look, there's Diana Hare, that girl in that soap opera. Oh, she's so much prettier on TV. So people feel like they have a right to talk about you like this.
And say whatever they want in front of you.
And loud. And, when I would do campaigns, people would write online like, oh, I think there was one, I did a campaign for a fashion week. And somebody wrote, oh my God, her nose is huge. She needs a nose job. And then somebody else wrote, she's so bland. Like she's so vanilla. Like she needs more spice. And people just feel like they have a right to write about
say
you.
Say whatever they want. Once you're in the limelight, they do feel like they have the right to do that.
And my fame is like this compared to all these other actors. And, we were talking about buy these mansions. Why? Mm-hmm. Because they can't go to the movies. They can't go to the grocery stores. They can't go bowling. Like, how isolating is that? Mm-hmm. So it was fun to experience. And then I'm going to say the perks are nice too. Like I go to a club and they're like,
right,
usher you in.
Yeah, and you're like, you don't have to wait in the line.
Hey. My ex-brother-in-law loved it. Like he was like, this is so awesome. We had the best time. But the other side of it wasn't cool. Like the guy I was dating, at one point, he was like, I'm dating the cover of something, whatever. And I said, I'm not a cover, I'm a person. So you find people who just want to ride on your coattail. So it's really hard.
You're using you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or they're using you because it just makes them feel good to be seen with you. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think, it's not worth it. I'm okay. And so I let that go. So I'm here like living my little incognito life.
Whatever, your little incognito life. Okay, let's be clear, guys. She's been on billboards in the last year, okay? And so that this is not an incognito life, and everybody in the city knows her. And I will say my one really exciting part, about modeling with Diana is I'm much older than Diana, but people always think we look alike. And we don't necessarily see it, but we know we're tall, we're brunette, we've got the same color eyes. But people always, are you sisters? And then I got asked.
No,
I'm going to tell the story.
No, the guy was drunk. He was
I've been
drunk.
traumatized from it ever since. There was a drunk guy, and we were in somewhere modeling, and he was like, oh, is this your mom? And I was like, okay, okay, I can handle sister. I can handle older sister. I can handle older aunt, maybe aunt, because we were born. But mom, I've been traumatized. And Dinah's like, oh, the guy was drunk. I don't care if the guy was drunk or if he was sober. It still traumatized me. Yeah. So,
but my favorite's when we're at work and somebody will come in and say, yeah, it's Bubba. And they talk to me for about 30 minutes. And after a while, they're like, yeah, because we talked about it. And I'll say, that wasn't me.
Yeah.
And then, or when they come and they see both of us singing together and they're like, wait. And you're like,
yeah, who's who?
Who's who?
Yeah. Yeah, they come in all the time. They'll start talking to me too. And they'll be like, well, yeah, we talked the other day and you remember it. I'm like, no, I wasn't. It was my friend. And then I get real excited because, of course, if I look like you, then I'm like excited. So I'm always like, thank you. I'll take it any day, all day long. And the minute it stops happening, which I know one day it will, as I progressively stay older than you, and that day will be sad.
Let me just
that day will
tell
be sad.
everybody, parentheses, all my male friends are madly in love with Pam.
Whatever.
All of them. They all have the hugest crush on her.
Yeah, not true. They're
and
all
every
like 30.
party, like, no, it's fine. I go, like, parties, like, are you bringing Pam?
That's just because I talk a lot.
No, because you're beautiful.
Yeah, you're sweet. Oh,
I love you.
Thank you, honey. I'll take that all day. But now I want to hear about your worst modeling job you ever did. We could talk all day about your modeling gigs. Yeah, let me tell you, she's had thousands. So,
maybe I've like blocked it
out
from memory. Yeah.
It was traumatic. And it could be just that like the AC was broken, somebody fell on the runway, like, or it could be that
But those experiences are fun. Like I did a fashion show in Bogota. Bogota's up in the mountains, and they had kind of, I think it's almost like plexiglass, the runway.
Oh no.
And it was from dusk.
Oh no.
And what they didn't realize that the condensation on the runway, when you stepped on it, started collecting. So people started like slipping off like little penguins. Like,
wait, off the end of the runway?
They would step and they would slip and slide and they go and they'd fall off. So I think, and they had it like the structure on the outside. So my mom went and she said like when the guys came out, one of my friends, Javi, he started slipping. So he holds on, he's like slipping like this and holding on. And then
to try to keep from falling off the runway.
And then I walked out with this famous designer, Hernan Sahar, and we're holding on. We're both slipping, and because it was like
so
it became so slippery. So, but it's funny. They're fun.
It's funny in retrospect.
Yeah, at the moment,
I'm sure
at
the
moment out. Yeah,
when a model slides off the end of the runway, I'm sure the designer, the choreographer, the person that produced it is horrified. Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely horrified. On top of the fact that if someone gets injured, who's getting sued?
Well, I mean, it's like 2004. So.
But no one used to sue anybody, right? We just get hurt, when
in Latin America, yeah. Like, oh, they slipped off. My mom's like, they look like penguins going.
Yeah. Have you ever fallen on the runway?
I think I've fallen on my butt. I've lost so many shoes. I'm notorious here in Houston for always losing my shoes.
On the runway.
Lenny and Tamara, who are our big producers. Tamara always says, "You're the one who always loses your shoe."
You mean just walking and your shoe?
I lose my shoe because I have such a narrow foot.
Yeah.
Like every time I see a pump, I'm like, no.
And the pump just flies off in the show.
Especially if we have to wear like pantyhose with it. Yeah.
Yeah. See, people don't realize all this stuff. So that's a good point to talk about. So people are like, oh, look at the pretty model walking on the runway.
It's so easy to walk.
Half the time they've given you a shoe that's too little or too big. And your toes inside of that pretty face going down the runway all sexy are clenched, and you have a death clench on your shoe, and you're walking like you've never walked before, like you're a newborn learning to walk, and you're trying to look pretty and you're trying to make it look smooth, yet you can't keep your shoe on, and your outfit's falling off, and your bra's about to poke out, and you're afraid your boob's gonna get exposed. So I mean, I just think it's so funny because they don't realize every show there's one outfit, one scene where something goes awry.
Of course, that's when it's stressing you out about that.
And you're just trying to hide it so that you can get back off the runway as fast as possible so that you can get to that next outfit.
Right.
Which I don't think people realize that. Because they'll come to a show and be like, it was fabulous. And I'll be like, oh, you have no idea. You have no idea. I mean, this girl, I don't know. This girl, shoes fell off. This girl tripped on her outfit. This girl couldn't walk in her dress. This girl's dress boob popped out. Things that sometimes people don't notice. But yeah. You hear about it backstage. Yeah. My shoe fell off once in a runway. It was Fashion Week for Houston, our first Fashion Week. And we had that big designer, and we were in the show. You were in the show with me, and we had to wear that black eye, and we had hair that looked like we were Frankenstein. It was supposed to look cool,
right?
But we looked like Frankenstein. It wasn't pretty. And I can't remember the designer. It was actually a big designer. It was like the title of the fashion week.
Okay.
And my shoe flipped off, And I was like, well, I have one shoe on and I can either hobble down the runway or what do I do? So I kicked them both off and then just walked barefooted, the rest of the thing,
Yeah.
which I'm assuming you've done. And one of our little friends in the audience, one of our little precious gay designers, jumped up and grabbed him off in the middle of the thing. And at the end of that, at that walk, they did a little standing ovation, but it was all of our friends.
Yeah.
It was the agents and some of our friends. And I just thought that was so sweet because they were like, oh, I know she's horrified.
Yeah.
They knew in your mind you're horrified. So they were trying to soften the blow. But I'm glad to know you've slipped and fallen too.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to think. I know I've fallen on my butt. Can't remember what show, but like there was the shoes always. I'm notorious for losing my shoe. I'm always, every time I see the shoes, and because I feel like I've earned,
right,
because I'm a veteran now.
That's right.
If
You've
I
been
see
a veteran
pump,
for a while.
I feel like I can ask the client, the client or the person, like, can I please have a strap around my ankle?
Right.
Please.
Yeah, when you're young, you let yourself get
just
tortured
do it. You
through
just do it. But I'm like, I kind of earned my dues to ask for something around my ankle. But yeah, I've had it where I picked it up, or there was a fashion week and they used to like air them live in Columbia Fashion Week. And I was the bride. And then I had to go back out with the designer. And so you see me walking back. And I was like, oh, I can't do this again. You see me pull off my shoes and just throw them and then turn around and grab the designer and we walk. I mean, you just need to like throw them backstage like this.
And you're like, I'm not struggling with this all the way down to the end of the runway with a designer and make a fool out of myself. So
exactly.
Like, I
get rated it once. We're not doing it again.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stories. And there's so many stories like that.
Right.
And we could sit here probably and in 10 minutes you'd think of another one and another one and another one. And I love those stories. Actually, we should sit down sometime and do a whole podcast on screw ups that happened on the runway, backstage, some sort of nightmare that happened.
Oh, and my underwear got zipped up in a dress once.
Oh gosh.
And it was really intense. I turned around to, their assistant Anthony. I was like, just cut my thong. Cut me out. I don't care. But he was able to like unzip me and get me out. I was like, just do it.
Just get it off.
I mean, she zipped it so fast, my underwear. I was like, oh, who?
Take the whole dress off with my thong. Just take it.
Just take it. Do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like when you ask me about these awful experiences, like, I know they're there. Like in the back of my mind, like there's like these phantom memories of me feeling like really upset, really sad.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, I felt bad. Like the clients made me feel bad. But I think I've chosen to like put them away.
Right. And remember the good stuff.
And just remember the good stuff. Because I mean, I probably would have to sit and think about it, but I try not to reflect on it. And there's always those.
Okay. What about any experiences you've had where you've been inappropriately hit on by a photographer?
Oh.
Or a situation where you could tell he was trying to get you to maybe, slip off a little more than you wanted to slip off.
Always.
Or just put you in a situation where you felt a little coerced into doing something and maybe even, push that limit a little bit where you didn't want to because in the moment you were young or it was a big famous photographer. I've had that happen too. You feel pressure that you don't feel because you feel like this is this big moment for me. Mm-hmm. But then there's that added pressure of somebody taking advantage of somebody in the industry. And I know it happens. And I know sometimes you realize after it. Right. I realized a lot of times after the fact, hey, that person probably was pushing me on some things I didn't want to do. And I caved or I didn't cave or that's why that person didn't like me. Do you remember some of these? Or?
So remember that year in high school in Columbia?
Yeah.
That year I had a lot of that happen then.
Mm-hmm. When you're young. See,
when I was young.
Taking advantage when you're young.
Before I was modeling, I had a lot of that happen. So luckily by the time I started modeling, I had gone through a lot of that stuff that when a photographer or somebody tried to take advantage, I was pretty good at saying no.
Oh, good. By the time you got through that first year.
Yes.
You mean, yeah.
But I was, me, Colombian style. I say everything with a smile. I did this with a smile. So I was pretty good at that. And I did have one or two photographers not be happy about it.
Yeah, not get their way.
No, exactly.
Fascinating.
When I worked in Milan, this is huge. I had the photographer of Vogue Bride, I think, wanted to meet me to shoot me. And I was like, hey, that's amazing. Like, I want to do this. This is great. And so my agent
big opportunity for your career.
Yeah. He said, well, the photographer wants to meet you at 10 p.m. at his apartment.
Oh, goodness.
And I said, no. And he said, this is how we do it in Milan. And I said, that's great, but that's not me. And I think it's also my mom being a single mom and then having the pressure from her family, Catholics. Like, you don't do stuff like that. I had the fear of God instilled in me.
Yeah, well, you also had some experiences in Columbia young
before
to know, like, this is fishy. That doesn't sound quite right. That's not going to be a situation I'm going to be able to easily slip out of.
Right.
Or shouldn't be alone with a dude in an apartment at 10 o'clock at night. I don't care what he is or what he does because you never know
what's going to happen.
What's going to happen?
And I know a lot of girls would do it.
Oh, 100%.
And I
They
said
wouldn't
no.
even think twice about it.
And my booker agent got mad at me.
Mm-hmm.
He was really upset.
Which is ridiculous.
And I said no, and I missed out on the opportunity. But I said, I'm not going to put myself in that situation because I have been in those situations before, being naive, and found myself in really bad situations and had bad things happen.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah. And that's one thing about this industry that that is a negative for me. And I saw that over the years as well. And I was like you, I had a pretty strong backbone early on. So I kind of saw situations that didn't seem right. And I would say no to opportunities, whether it was in the acting industry. I mean, I could write a whole book about that, or in the modeling industry. And again, people would not be happy about it, which I still find interesting because they should be the ones protecting you.
Right.
That agent should have been like, yeah, you're not going to this guy's house at 10 o'clock at night. But the agents are a lot of time in on it.
Right.
And I'm not throwing agents under the bus because we've had some amazing agents and we have amazing agents now. But
we do.
There are agents that pushed you, especially in European countries, to kind of go with the flow, don't rock the boat, because they were they don't care if you did something with the photographer or you showed more than you wanted to show. They would say it's part of the game, but I'm glad you had a strong sense of self at a young age, at least with that. So when did you go to Europe to model? Because we didn't really get to that. I know, you've modeled, let's be clear, Dinah's made a living of modeling her whole entire life. So there's never been a wave where she wasn't modeling. I mean, she might've been too fat at the end of her pregnancy to slip into something, but that girl modeled all the way till they told her baby bump was too big. I mean, she was working the runway till
when
5
I said
months,
no,
6 months, whatever.
It was the
pretty,
first one with
pretty
Emmy,
late.
Yeah, I mean, our clients here are so great, and I actually was the one who told them. And I will say, our clients here are so amazing. They're like, we will make it work until you don't want to do it anymore. And that's why I said, like, I don't want to do it anymore. I want to just be pregnant. And then after I gave birth, they would say, okay, let us see you. And they would still make it work, which is so amazing with everybody here.
Here, Houston people. That's true.
That they are so happy to accommodate you. But, that's a lesson that I'm trying to teach my eldest daughter, Emmy, who wants to model. It's like, if you are good at what you do, if you are professional, if you show up, have what they ask for, just do your job well.
Yeah.
The clients will appreciate it and say, like, you're a bigger size, they'll pull bigger for you.
Yeah.
Because they know you're good at what you do.
If they really want you. Yeah, it's true.
But they will. I tell you, just be good. Because even after I had Emmy or Valencia, I was bigger, but they pulled for me because they knew I would do my job well.
Well, you are a very seasoned model that, like you said, and that's a big thing in this industry. People don't realize, like, you have to get your shit together. You have to have all the proper stuff inside your bag, and that means your shoes and your proper underpinnings, and don't wear a black bra, and don't show up late, and don't be hungover, and don't you look tired, and have your makeup on,
or like straighten your hair or curl it or do your makeup or whatever it is. It takes a lot. Like I say, the show, you see us this much, but it starts from way here. Sometimes even earlier.
Starts
if you
the day
have to get
before.
a certain shoe or like a certain something, like, I do a commercial and they'll say, oh, we need this, this, and this for wardrobe. Bring it just in case. I'm like, well, I don't own that. Like I think I did a medical thing a couple, month ago. It's like, I don't own khakis.
Yeah.
I'm a model. I don't do khakis.
We don't do khakis.
I don't do khakis.
I don't do khaki.
I don't do a cardigan.
You got to bring me some khakis.
Right. And I was like, oh, I got to get a cardigan and khakis now.
Yeah.
So it takes me 2 days before because I have to go to the stores. I go to Gap or whatever it is, try and find or Amazon it.
Preparation. Lots of preparation to this stuff.
And then, what do my nails look like?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
we're going to go and show our nails today because both Diana and I showed up and we're like, we didn't get our nails done because there was just no time between life, but we each I don't have a nail. She doesn't have a thumb.
I've lost it. It's somewhere in my closet.
But in the modeling
I'm going to let my husband find it.
You're constantly scrambling to get these nails done before every show, and they give you specific colors on your feet and your hands, and can you wear this and can you wear that? So it's a constant changing of that as well. That's part of that preparation, constantly keep an upkeep on your hair and your body.
Right.
Stay in a certain weight. I mean, people don't realize, like you said, they'll pull for you if you've developed a reputation and they know who you are. But that is a different story because we have spent years and years and years developing that reputation. So staying thin enough to fit into at least look good in the clothes, not getting a belly. That's not easy. It might have been easy when we were 20, but it's not as easy when you get older. It's a constant fight and a struggle, and it's work, and it's part of the game.
Right.
And I don't think people realize that either. They're like, oh, you probably were just born like that, right? How do you stay so thin? Were you just born like that? What do you say to those people?
I say I
Were you
work
just
hard
born
for
like
it.
that? Yeah.
It's a lot of hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Say nothing in life comes easy. You gotta work for it.
No. And then they'll say, here's a good one. You ready for this? You've heard this 500,000 times. Oh, you're so thin. You probably just don't have to do anything to stay so thin. What do you not eat? Okay, tell me what you say to those people, because I know you get that all the time. Don't lie. In this modeling industry, this is one of those things that is so rude and disrespectful.
It is.
And I have a few more questions they asked me that I think are just a slap in the face.
But I think it's also other people's insecurities.
Right, it is.
And that's why I try not to take too much offense of it, because I'm like, everybody has their struggle, especially people who are not in the industry. They assume it makes them feel better about themselves. Like, well, she was just born like that.
Yeah.
I wasn't born like that, so that's why I'm never gonna be that skinny.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's hard work. And I tell them, like, yes, I tell people, and you know this.
Yeah.
What's my favorite food?
Sweets.
No.
Oh.
Fast food.
Oh, fast food. Well, yeah.
I love fast food. I love Taco Bell.
She loves Taco Bell.
I love McDonald's. I love
we have a big
Chick-fil-A.
fashion show late night and we're together and we carpool.
I always take her out on a date to Taco Bell.
She goes, do you want to go on a date? And I'm like, I know that date means Taco Bell, okay? And automatically I'm like, I'm going to have to eat bad. I have to take one for the team, for Diana, and work out extra hard tomorrow so we can get our Taco Bell because it makes her happy.
But that being said, like, I love it, but it's work. I don't eat it every day.
Right.
It's like a treat.
Yeah, it's a treat.
And so I tell people, like, it's hard work. Like, I would love to drink a Dr. Pepper every day.
Right.
I would love to have a taco every day, but I don't. I try to get my water in, which is my struggle. I try to get my protein in. I try, to eat healthy, eat clean. And
don't look at us right now. We're drinking wine.
I know. But every day, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
It is. And people don't realize that. They're like, oh, it's just natural for you. I'm like, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. Like,
And it's
every day
frustrating
I
that
have
they
to
say
make that
that.
choice, to make the healthy choice. 'Cause if I wasn't a model, and if I wasn't married to my husband, who was also, like a health nut and loves biohacking and eating clean, and if I wasn't married to him,
He's one of my people.
yeah, I would be more robust than I am now.
Okay, so I want to go to her husband in a second because Coco is this like uber handsome tennis player. I mean, he's ridiculous. And I'm just going to say he's ridiculous because every time I see him, I'm like, God, he's good looking. But I forget. And the next time I see him again, because it's Coco, I'm like, damn, he's good, better looking than he was the last time I saw him. But Diana does a fashion show. We used to do a fashion show every year with Lenny and Tamara for Tootsie's. And it's over this swimming pool at the country club, River Oaks Country Club. And comes to the show. Coco shows up at the show. We hadn't met him yet. This was her new boyfriend. And she walks out of the show. We're waiting in the parking lot. I don't know if you remember this. And and you come walking out of the show. And I'm like, holy cow, where do you find that? I mean, I can't even get a good date. And she walks out with this guy that's like tan and dark hair. And like, he's a stud. And I'm just looking at her like, where did you snag that? So I'd love you to tell me the story of like how you met Coco and what Coco does, but also Coco's just fascinating in and of himself. We could do a whole podcast.
You should invite him to podcast.
So that'd be funny.
His take on modeling, like when we first started, because he has absolutely nothing to do with the modeling circuit before we met. He's an athlete, and he used to tell me, "Do you need to go paint your face?" I'm like, "What? I don't put it on with a spatula." And then he'd be like, "What's that? Like, why are you wearing that like that?" I'm like, it's like, if it's not all white, like Wimbledon, like he doesn't understand it.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is called fashion. And so even to this day, we'll like hit, bump heads of fashion. Like, and he's like, no, that doesn't look good. And I'll say, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk about who has the better opinion about what looks good and doesn't look good in fashion. So we're always kind of like, But we met, so this is a juicy story. I was married before. I got married quite young.
I met that husband
At 20. We're talking about like being young, impressionable. And that can be just a whole nother podcast on girls and men and narcissists.
I mean, we should probably do a whole podcast just on how men treat women that they think are pretty or models.
Well, my husband,
That's a whole book.
My ex thought he was prettier than me. And I was telling my little cousins, never marry a man that thinks he's prettier than you. He can be. He just can't know it.
Yeah.
And my ex thought it and believed it. And yeah, that's a whole... But I met him, very toxic relationship. Like, terrible. I think we all have to have one of those. And I was modeling with a girl named Athena, beautiful girl. And she was dating this Bulgarian guy, and we lived really close. So we started carpooling to jobs, and they invite us over to like the Bulgarian gatherings. And I'd go with my ex-husband, and all the guys were there, and the girls were there, and the guys would go outside to smoke and be cool and talk. And Coco was there. So actually,
Wait,
my
was
ex,
Coco the Bulgarian guy?
yeah, so my ex knows Coco. Like they used to like go outside and smoke and talk.
Oh my gosh, I don't think I knew that
They
part.
know each other.
That's weird.
And so I told my friend Athena, I was like, your friend Coco is pretty hot. And he told her, your friend Diana's pretty hot. So I love Athena. She's so cool. She's hippie. She says, my favorite story of hers, like she said, like, she's like, cleaned the kitchen. She goes, Diana thinks Coco's hot. And Coco thinks Diana's hot. Raphael's a problem.
The husband. Raphael's going to get in the way of that.
Yeah. She's like, he's the problem. But she knew, and she knew like this was just
The marriage was already like,
oh yeah. But even before I got married, it was like not a good thing.
yeah.
So when I told her, I was like, hey, I'm going to leave him. I'm getting divorced. I'm separating.
Yeah.
She went and told Coco. And then he was like, okay. And she planned a happy hour. And we got together. And funny enough, I was actually moving back to Colombia. Because I had moved from Colombia. So I was
Right.
living in Colombia. Started dating my ex. And we came to Houston for vacation. He always had the American dream. And he had just lost his job in Colombia when we came. And when we were here visiting my mom, he said, I don't want to go back. I want to try the American dream. Because I was going to go back. My career was booming. And, being with a narcissist, somebody who manipulates you, he manipulated me. He's like, why are you so selfish? Like, let's do this for me. And so we stayed.
Okay.
And, no, I lost my train of thought.
Well, we came back.
So I came, and that's why I ended up
Yeah.
back in Houston. Because
Yeah.
if not, I probably would have stayed in Colombia.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Because I was on that high of like the
Right. You
soap
were at your
opera.
place. Yeah.
I mean, I was at my peak, all these
Yeah.
campaigns, like more TV opportunities were coming to me. And, I was impressionable, 19. I said, sure. And then, he's like, I need papers. I don't want to go do like the work of like 5 years when you can give it to me in 6 months. So also he manipulated me. So we got married. I got married at 20. And that's how I ended up in Houston.
And
that's
got
when
his green card.
And he got his green card.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I met Coco, but I was traveling. And what was the point of this?
So Coco. So we were talking about Coco and how you met Coco.
So that's when I met Coco,
how they
yes.
knew each other and how you ended up with Coco though. And in the end of all this.
So that's why I left him.
Yeah.
And so that's why. So I was in the process of moving back to Colombia because I was like, well, I didn't go back because of this ex. Well, I'm going to go back and pick up work. Because I was still going back and forth quite a bit, like every
Right, to
3
work.
months.
You've gone back over the years that I've known you a million times.
But
to
during
do
that time,
stuff.
because I didn't have kids, I was like every other month and I would go for a while. I was constantly going back and going back and going back. I was like, well, let me just move. I actually had a friend that we were going to become roommates. I was in the process. I had 2 cats of getting the cats' paperwork to take them over. And Coco actually was moving back to Bulgaria.
That either.
He was in the process of moving back to
So
Bulgaria.
he was going to go back to his home country. You were going to go to Colombia, and y'all might have just.
Yep. And so when Athena said like let's do a happy hour, we went out on a date, and then he asked me out on a date. My favorite story. I mean, this is TMI. We go out on our date. He takes me to dinner and takes me to a movie. And I had just recently gotten separated. I got married at 20. I'm like 23, 24 at the time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm young.
Yeah.
And I'd been through this really toxic relationship, and and I had like a flight to Miami the next day for work, and he's driving, and he's super cool, like stick shift, and he's smoking, because Eastern European, rugged. And he goes, okay, so what do you want to do? Like, go have another drink? You want me to take you home? And I just turned to him and I said, just take me home. And he goes,
You're so
okay.
You're
And
so bad.
and he,
She's bad. I forgot to tell you that part. Okay, she's the bad girl. I'm the good girl. No, I'm joking.
And that was it.
And they're married, and they've been married now
was it.
for over 10 years. Right?
It will be. We got married in 2008, so it'll be 16 years. In
16.
December.
What?
December.
I'm like over 10 years. Duh. Your daughter
So this
is
was
now
like
14.
this was like let's go have some fun. I've been like
I've had a noose on my neck
for like 3
few
years. Let me
yeah.
like be crazy and have fun, and
Yeah.
we ended up getting married.
Yeah.
And he says he always kind of knew and wanted, but he wanted to give me space. He didn't want to smother me
Yeah.
because he knew what I had gone through, and he was just patient and waited.
God, he's so sweet.
He's so y'all know you look at him. He's super intimidating, rugged.
Very intimidating.
Has his voice, and people are all afraid of him. He's so like, "Arr, arr, 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 arr." But when you get to know him, he's like the softest, sweetest, warmest man, and he loves
Yeah.
And he's noble. Like, he loves you. He loves all my friends. You know, he's the guy that comes and he
Might cry
hugs
again.
you and he kisses you because he loves, and he's
I
like
love
warm and
him.
fuzzy. But you see his demeanor is just like Eastern.
Oh yeah, if you have a conversation with him, it's like, hey Coco, so I think this. No, it's stupid. Why do you think that? It's stupid. You know, you're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not saying he says exactly that, but I'm saying he's that very Eastern European, very, very direct. And so I know some people at first are like, whoa, and then they get to know him and they realize he's just like the nicest, sweetest guy, and he's such a good dad.
Well, you said it best. And I always use that example. You said Coco is the oh, now I forgot. What was it? You said
You
he's
shouldn't drink wine. But
I know, right? Shoot.
Toughest, sweetest guy ever.
You said, yeah, something like that. I can't remember. He's like the. I'll think of it probably like 20 minutes from
we'll
now.
think of it later after the show.
Yeah.
But he is an interesting guy. But I tell you what, these two together, it's this funny little Eastern bloc, and then Colombian, and you've got the fiery Colombian party with the Eastern bloc Bulgarian guy. It's just a funny mix to me. But she's got two beautiful girls, which we mentioned. You've mentioned several times, and we've mentioned Emmy, which is now 14, and Valencia, which is, I'm so bad, 8? 7. And just the cutest kids ever. And they look like the spitting image of this Bulgarian father with elements of beautiful, which is thank goodness from their mom. So they've got this rugged looking dad, and you look at him and you're like, oh, that's Coco. But then I look closer and I see all kinds of features from you, which is obviously you want your little girls to look like the beautiful mom, but they're a perfect mix of you guys. But Emmy now has done some modeling with you, and even Valencia and Coco, which is fascinating. She's drugged them into some modeling gigs, and a few. And they've all modeled now at this point because there's this beautiful family. I don't know that you look like you always belong in it. No, I'm joking.
I don't. I would say I look like the white nanny.
I'm teasing. She looks like the white nanny, right? But they now have all modeled. But now Emmy has actually done some fashion shows with you through the last couple of years. And
just this last year.
Just this last year as a model, not even as your daughter,
right,
or as a guest model, with the model, because we've done those before over the years. But now she's getting hired as a model. How does that feel as a mother, a woman that's modeled for 25 years more?
28.
28 years?
Maybe Will do the math for us.
But I mean, when you first saw, oh gosh, she's going to end up doing some modeling, did that feel good? Were you worried? Were you happy? Is it a worrisome thing a little bit, or how do you feel about it?
I'm excited for her because she's excited.
Yeah.
She's always shown interest in it. But I've always told her, just be really good. And the conversation I always have with her, I say, you've got to understand one thing. You had it easy. Because most people don't have that ticket in.
Mom ticket.
Mom ticket. So regardless of that, you've got to work twice as hard, be professional, be good at what you do, really step up.
Yeah.
And I don't hold her hand. So when we did the River Oaks show, we were both booked as models. I drive her, I walk in, I go, peace. I didn't ask her about her shoe bag. I didn't ask her about her rings. That's her responsibility. If she forgot, whatever she forgot, that's her problem. And, we were kind of like opposite of each other in the dressing room. Yeah. And I purposely and I think I've asked Tamerlane not to put me with a rack with her or close to her. Like when we did the show last year, she was with you. I was like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. She's got to figure it out like I did, like we did. I don't want to hold her hand. Yeah. And I think in her second outfit, she put on her outfit, sat down and put on her shoe, and she got in trouble because she wrinkled the clothes.
Yeah.
I could have said something, and she was like, oh my God, Mommy, I got in trouble. I said, good, because now will you ever forget?
Yeah. So interjection of that, people at home probably don't know. Once you put on your outfit as a model, you never, ever, ever are allowed to sit. And we don't care if they make you wait an hour standing backstage, but you do not sit. You do not lean. You do not lean down to put your shoes on. Every good model knows this, but every young model gets in trouble.
You don't crash
because you can't mess up that outfit and you can't get it wrinkled. So we've stood in high heels, uncomfortable. Your feet are killing you. They're making you stand in line, and then they go and do announcements. And you've got 30 minutes and you're standing there in these uncomfortable runway shoes that you don't normally wear around, trying to keep your outfit nice. There's a lot of small little torturous moments people don't realize. But so that's interesting that you didn't want to be next to her too, because then she's going to be dependent on you more.
Well, I don't want her to and I don't want to, because if I see it, I'm going to want to say something.
Right.
And like, I don't want to see it. I want her to learn on her own. And I told her, like, now I said, Emmy, you will never forget to not sit in your clothes now because you got scolded. And that's how I learned. I got scolded for stuff. Like one of my first fashion shows, I sat down in a dress and the designer came and was like, oh, you know, and I
what
never
are you
said,
doing?
You wrinkled, I have to take it off. We have to steam it, you know. So I'm letting her learn that way. But we are running into the issue, like, you know, the other day, I don't know if I told you, you know, we went out to dinner and she was like, Mommy, am I fat?
That's awful.
And I'm like, you're 14. I was like, no, you're not fat. Now, are you model skinny? No. You know, she's not. You know, and she's not a size 0.
Right.
But she is a dancer. She's got a beautiful dancer body. And she's like me. She likes crap. She loves sugar. She loves chips. And she's 14.
Yeah.
So now at home, we're trying to like say, okay, now start establishing these really good, healthy habits. I didn't have it. So I had to learn it in my 20s. And it was so hard. And that's why I still struggle with it today. But I was like, but you're 14. You have your dad. You have me now. Helping to guide you. So at least when you're in your 20s, you have established these habits. But yeah, we're ready.
But to even be thinking that as a mom, you had that moment of dang it,
and it was when she asked me. She said, "Do you think I will get a swimsuit in the show in July?" And I said, "No." And I had that moment.
Yeah.
Like, do I be the mom? Like, oh yeah, honey, or do I be an honest model mentor? And I said no. And I told her, I was like, but you know, and then we had the conversation. I said, there's some things that you can control. Like you can't control your height. Like I'm not the tallest. So like when I went to Milan, I knew like, I'm not going to do the fashion shows. I'll do catalog. I'll do beauty. I'll do like, you figure out your niche because there's some things you just cannot control.
Right.
But I said, but this is something you can control. Obviously you might not be a triple, quadruple 0.
Right.
But you could be a little bit thinner because you don't make those healthy choices. But let's do it together. I'll support you.
Yeah.
You know, because you can't control that. Like, so she has this moment, she cries, and we talk about it, like, we'll support each other. She goes, can we go to Crumble Cookie? I'm going, no.
We just talked about diet.
I'm like, no, because then I'm going to want the Crumble Cookie too.
Yeah, I know. So now, well, you can look at it like you both have each other to support.
That's why I told her, let's help each other out.
So yesterday, Diana and I had an event for our real estate that we do. And she says to me also, there was an ice cream and she wanted an ice cream. And she's like, I want that ice cream, but I'm trying to lose weight. And I'm like, you're 14. And I'm like, honey, have the ice cream. Have the ice cream. You don't have ice cream at home.
Right.
Your parents don't put it in at the house. I go, you're going to be okay. I go, what I do is on Sundays, I said, it's Sunday. It's your cheat day. I go, I have a cheat day. And then that way you can get all that stuff out of your system. You want to cheat on a Sunday, you're 14, you can go have ice cream, have whatever you want. Pick a day. I said, the rest of the week you won't want that ice cream as much because you had it and you let yourself have it.
Right.
But she I'm trying to lose
and then I don't
weight.
even know, I came back to the house and then later on she goes, Mom, can I have an ice cream? And I said, did you already have one? She goes, yeah. And I just kind of look at her and I said, because also she's got to learn to make
her own choices. Yeah.
Like, you know, this is what you want. You can control this. Something that you can't control.
And just to be clear for people that are listening, I mean, we know that she's 14 and we know that ice cream is normal and we understand that. This is a girl that wants to model. This is a girl that's starting to model with us and do some big things.
Right.
These aren't little things. She wasn't asked to model in a local boutique. She's been on some big runways already.
Well, she was in the biggest show of Houston in spring season.
There you go.
I mean, this is an opportunity that does not
come along.
She was amazing. She was great.
She was great.
And I told her, this is something that you want to do. You got to be professional about it.
Yeah.
And I wish somebody had told me that from the beginning too, because I would have done things differently.
Me too.
As well. Like, I didn't start washing my food until like early mid 20s. I wish somebody had taught me from my early teens.
Yeah, me too. So I also started modeling very young, and I was also always battling with my weight because I naturally am curvy and I naturally have wide hips. But also my parents they knew about healthy eating, but I don't think they really knew about how to help me to lose weight. And it was a struggle, and it was a big struggle. And I went through all these like up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, trying to figure out what best would work for me to stay thin for modeling. But, heard so many times backstage, oh, she's the big girl, or this is too tight on her. Just those words, this is too tight on her, in your mind makes you think, oh, something's wrong with me, or I'm not the right fit model, or I'm not going to fit in anything. And it just automatically goes to this insecurity.
Right.
When the fact is, it's just my body. No matter how thin I was, I had big bones. But like we were talking about earlier, it really does mess with your self-esteem, especially at a young age. And it's hard on girls.
It never goes away.
It never goes
even
away.
now, sometimes I'm like, oh, I gotta lose that weight. I'm like, I haven't lost. I still haven't lost all the baby weight from my last pregnancy. I think I'm like 10 pounds over still.
Right.
But then I'm like, but I'm 42.
Yeah.
And then I look at the other 42, and I'm not saying anything against
No,
them.
no,
Like,
gotcha.
but I'm like, I work hard for this
Right.
body. I look good for this. I take
Right.
care of my temple.
Yeah.
Like, who cares if I'm not a size 0 anymore?
Yeah. And I feel the same exact way.
But I have to remind myself, because sometimes I do fall into that.
You
like,
do.
I'm
Well,
like,
forever you'll be more
yeah.
judgmental on yourself. So when people ask me, too, is modeling a career? Do I want to do modeling? Another thing I tell them when they're talking about their young children is, are you prepared for her to hear she's the big girl? Maybe even she's a little fat right now. Like, you hear stuff. Things get through you hear stuff. However they like to say it, however they insinuate it. We have dressers that'll go, girl, you need to eat a few less tacos. We've got people that say things because they feel like they have the right to, but you hear it all through your young career. And so that's hard on a young person. And I always say to a parent, are you okay? And is your daughter okay with what's going to happen right now, insecurity wise? Most models I know are more insecure than normal people. They think they're more secure, but they're more insecure because you're constantly being judged.
Well,
constantly.
And I don't know if you find this, but like when somebody knows you're a model, they feel like they can judge you more. Like, you're supposed to be perfect.
Oh, 100%.
So, we're invited to a pool party. I won't put on my swimsuit.
I'm not going to a pool
because
party.
I know as soon as you get
As soon as you
undressed
see
in
my
your
cellulite.
swimsuit, all the other people are like, oh, look, the model has cellulite. Like, we are critiqued way more.
Because it makes them feel better about
we're a
themselves.
model.
Right.
And it took me years to wear shorts.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I missed my 20s when I had the best legs to wear shorts because of that insecurity.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? I want to know, like, are people prepared to go into that business where your security, your insecurity, whichever way you want to look at it, is going to go into the pooper?
Yep. Well, I was told, like, all the moms, like, the most, like, or anybody's like, the most insecure women you'll ever meet are models.
And then people say, well, why? She's so beautiful. Why? You're so, and you're thinking to yourself, you don't know this industry. You have obviously never lived in this industry where everyone does feel like they have the right to judge you.
Right.
You are judged.
Well,
you
are
are fully judged.
You're too short, you're too tall, your eyes are too light, they're too dark.
Mm-hmm.
Your ankles are too big, they're too skinny.
Your nose is too big.
And some of these things are things that you cannot control.
Mm-mm.
Like, I can control my eyes are green, or that my ear, one ear sticks out than the other. Like, I can't. So you're constantly being pulled apart, picked apart. So I think at some point and it takes maturity. And some women don't reach it in the modeling industry.
They don't, because a lot of times they don't have that longevity, so they don't even reach the point where they can get to the point where they don't care anymore.
Well, at one point, you like, and I've talked this about with my daughter. I said, like, took me a while to learn, but I want you to learn this early on. You cannot please everybody, and it's just somebody's opinion.
Yeah.
And what makes their opinion better than their? I mean, just because he works for Oscar Lorenta and doesn't like brunettes doesn't mean that you should go blonde.
Right.
Like, you can't please everybody. Just be yourself. And if you just don't fit, you don't fit, but be proud of it. Don't constantly try to change or feel, just own it.
That's right. And the next client's going to love you.
Exactly.
So you'll have a client that loves you and uses you all the time. And then you'll have clients that use you and they don't love you. I mean, I've been in, magazine. I did a magazine layout. I remember one time with this guy. He was super hot, and he looked great in all the photos. And I don't photograph that well. I'm not. Let me tell you something about Diana. She photographs so good. She can be wet upside down. I don't care what she's wearing. She could be naked. She could have her hair wet in a ponytail, and she photographs like a dream. And I will show you some pictures in this podcast of how she photographs. Okay, I photograph okay if the lighting's right, if the photographer's great, if the scenario's good, if the makeup artist was good. But anyway, I photographed, and they took that whole catalog, printed it, and then redid the whole catalog with a different girl. Mm. Okay, and things like that over the years, you're like, okay.
It messes you up.
That messes you up. Because I still think about that today, and that was probably 25 years ago. I've been doing this for over 40 years, but 25 years ago, and that's still to this day, I can't get it out of my head. They actually recast that whole catalog and paid all that money to redo it. because I'm just not the best photograph person in the world. You know, I'm just not. So, but it gets on
It does.
you.
It does.
Done a million fashion shows, a million jobs, and still like that kind of stuff like gets you.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff I tell people: be prepared. You want to get your kid to go into this business. It's a lot deeper than you think it is. You're going to have a lot deeper crap happen than you think.
Well, I always tell people, or I tell Emmy, I said, be great at something else, and the modeling jobs will come.
Exactly.
I mean, because, you know, she's a dancer. Like, go on Broadway, be a can-can dancer at the Moulin Rouge, whatever.
Yeah.
Be fantastic, be phenomenal. Somebody's going to see you and be like, hey, I want you to be the face of this dance shoe.
Yeah.
Or I want you to be the face of Rolex. You know, like who now does all the modeling for like watches, like Tag? It's actors.
It's always actors.
Athletes,
It's always famous
or athletes.
people.
It's people who are
It's
great
like
at
the modeling
something.
industry has really changed.
Right, but it's athletes or people who are known for something. Like be a super famous, I don't know, whatever you want, politician or something. But if you have that face and you're great at something, the modeling jobs will come.
That's right. And you don't have to be, you know, people need to know this too. Like we've lived overseas, we've lived in other countries. I've lived in, you know, in LA and New York, and you don't have to be there to do this modeling. We're living a modeling life here in Houston, Texas. You know, any big city that actually has a fashion industry, you can make a living in it, but you've got to be one of the top 20. You literally, to make a living at it here in a town like this, and I don't think people realize how much work it takes. It's a lot of effort. Like you said, you be on time and you've got your stuff together, but you got to be able to talk and you got to be able to be personable and you have to like everybody. You have to pretend like you feel good when you don't. And you just have to be really incredible to make it to the level that Diana's made it to in this city, because there's a million pretty girls, okay? And there's a million girls that probably could model, but not everybody can have longevity in a business like this because it takes a lot more than pretty face, okay? A lot more, and we both know that, right? So that being said, how long do you think you want to model, and how long do you plan on modeling? Because we both know, I mean, obviously you can model till at least you're my age,
Right.
which is another 12 years. I'm 12 years older than Diana. So we know it's possible.
Right.
Maybe not make as much money at it, but it can happen.
You know, I tell people I will do as long as they ask for me.
Yeah. Right.
You know, and I know, like, I am aware that I'm on the other side of this hill.
Not yet. Wait till you're after 50.
But, you know, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And that's why I've like decided to do other things, like other projects and other, you know, venues. But as long as they ask for me, I'm happy to do it.
Yeah.
And when they stop, it's okay.
Yeah. Good.
Because I've recognized it. You know, I'm like, you know what? Like, and I'm grateful when they still ask for me, because, you know, I'm 42.
Yeah.
How many 42-year-olds can say, hey, I still get asked to do these really great shows,
Not a lot.
or this or that? I'm like, you know what? So I will take it. I'm grateful. I'm happy. And when it starts to fade out, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
You fell into it and you can fall out of it probably
And
just
I'm
as easy.
and I have
right?
something to back up with it. You know,
Right.
I'm finding other things to do. Like, you know, we're doing our real estate and I do the walking classes. So, you know, but as long as they ask for me, I am more than happy to do it.
I mean, that's kind of how I feel. You know, I don't pursue it, but if someone says, hey, it's an old client and they want me to do it, I'll do it.
Exactly.
You know, if it's someone that I've had longevity with, you know, I do like that if there's longevity
Right.
with something and they know they can trust me, so they want to use me because they know I'm going to show up and I'm going to do a good job. That's the kind of things that I also feel like it's fun. And you know what's the most fun about this job? To me, is being with my friends.
Right.
And that's the only thing over the years, you know, when it tapers off a little and I'll see you guys doing some stuff and it's really not the show. I mean, you know, people think it is. If you're missing that sweet time backstage where people don't realize that there is something incredible. Getting emotional, which is so weird. Okay, I'm PMSing, guys. But something so incredible about those moments backstage, because that's where you develop all your friendships.
Right.
Right?
And we have a blast.
It's all our best friends we develop backstage.
Right.
That's crazy.
Well, even the girls that were not, maybe aren't your best friend, that you don't
Well,
talk to on a regular
right.
basis, this when we catch up, like, hey,
Yeah.
how's your husband? How's school? How's this? How's that? And, you know, some of these girls are 20 years younger than us.
Right.
And we get to chat with them and
Yeah.
make a connection. Because I think, especially here in Houston, we're all friends. Like, we all get along really well. So it gives us an opportunity to hang out and talk when we
Yeah.
maybe outside we won't.
And a lot of times in this business and also with families and life, you just get so busy, you don't have the time to connect with all your friends that you want to. And when you have that moment backstage at a job, it's like, oh, good. I get to see my 4 best friends and my other, like,
Right.
you know, 10 really good friends. And it's just this really, I think, amazing moments that happen backstage. It's almost like it's one of the only reasons I do it. So
Right.
you get that high on the stage, that's for sure. There's a high from a runway show, but I really go home on a high because of the backstage.
Right.
And that's the part where you're like, when that stops, that's going to be a sad day. But it'll be just that.
I'll come as a dresser.
Okay. Yeah, me. No, I show up as a makeup artist
No,
now.
I always tease until, Lenny, who, one of the biggest clients here in Houston, Lenny Maz.
One of the biggest producers.
I always say, when you're ready to retire, I will take over, and I will be gracious enough to keep the name.
There you go. Lenny Maz Productions.
By Diana Hare.
Who is that?
Yeah. No, I always tease at him and poke him. Now I totally take over his business. He probably won't retire until he's like 90, but...
Well, now he doesn't need to. He's been frozen in time. I tell him all the time he's a freak of nature, and he knows I say that to him. I say, you and Bernie, his sister, which models,
gorgeous,
are just ridiculous freaks of nature. Like, and I just introduce them to everybody. I'm like, look at how pretty these people are. Is that normal? Is that normal?
No.
Okay, there's two things I want to talk to you about before we go, because I forget. I want to say something about you now have gone on to be one of the best runway coaches. And I would say in the U.S. because I know that you train girls from all over the United States for the Miss USA pageant. Mm-hmm. And to preface that, I know how you kind of got into it because one of our best friends in the whole world, Crystal Stewart, was a model. And we modeled with her for years. She went on to become Miss USA and Miss Universe.
She became USA in 2008, and she was, I believe, top 10 or top 5.
In Miss Universe.
Miss Universe.
And now she started a company where she trains girls to do all kinds of things.
Right. So she started her company.
Go ahead.
And then she actually acquired Miss USA for a few years. And when that happened, she couldn't train the girls because of the conflict of interest. And she said, hey, I'm looking to revamp Miss USA. I want to be a little bit more modern, more model-esque. Will you come and start teaching these girls runway? And I had done a few pageants back in the day, and I realized this is not my thing.
Right.
Because I'm that girl, when I come up with a question, they ask me, I'd probably drop an F-bomb.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm so inappropriate. I can walk. I just don't do interviews. So I said, yeah, I would love to. And I started getting my experience there. And then I'm very grateful to Crystal because I got to meet all the Miss USA girls. And I worked with them for 2 years. And I was actually able to work with Miss Malta, Miss Belgium. And I started doing international girls. And I worked with the Miss Universe, who won the, Miss Texas that became USA, that became USA. So I worked with her. And since then, it's picked up. And now I have my own business. And I still train girls in pageants.
You call it
Walk the Walk.
Walk the Walk. And she's got an Instagram account for Walk the Walk. And she's fabulous. And some of her people that she trains have gone on to win titles. So tell me about it. Yeah.
I have, Miss Universe. We have, Miss NAM, Texas. And I think she also placed top 5 in nationals. We've had Teen Texas. And then, of course, the girls who do USA, they've done great things. And I love it. And you don't have to be in a pageant to work with me. I think every
No,
girl
you just teach great runway.
should just learn how to poise and posture and know how to walk. And I tell a lot of my students, I say, I think the hardest thing to do is to stand up and walk into a room, especially like a party where you don't know
hold
anybody.
Yourself appropriately.
And you can be so nervous, but if you just have that posture, people think you're so confident. Inside you could be dying. But if you just kind of know how to stand, shoulders back, people will never know. And I feel like after a while, if you do it enough, it becomes a habit and becomes your reality. Mm-hmm. And then that posture, that confidence becomes your truth.
100%. Just like we talked about modeling classes, I tell people it'll help your kid. So I can't tell you what's going to happen in the future with them in modeling because they could be denied at a modeling agency and be accepted at another. Same thing happened to me.
Right.
I was denied at Paige, denied at Neil, went over to Paige. Isn't that fascinating? Because we did the opposite.
Right.
Neil told me I needed a nose job. I went to Paige. But as a young kid, that's hard on you. But you never know who's going to, if you really want to do it, someone might say no and someone might say yes. But it wouldn't hurt to take classes and become more confident in who you are.
Well, even for everyday life, just to get up and give a presentation at work.
Oh, 100%.
Or just walking into a wedding. You're at a party or whatever it is. It's just good as a female to know how to pose for a picture. I see so many women posing incorrectly, or they follow the TikTok trends. I'm like, no.
Oh, yeah.
Just how to pose, how to stand.
Simple little things.
Just how to shape your leg a little bit. And they're like, oh, but my arm or this. I'm like, just turn it. There's all these little tricks. Just turn or do this or that. My sister, I have an older sister, not a model.
Allison.
She's so much fun. I live vicariously through her. She's uber smart, works for the city, helps out Houston in incredible ways. And then, I model and she doesn't model. But you know, I taught her how to like do the little turtle, like stick out your neck, get that chin line. So she always says that, you know, her pictures be like on the Harris County website, and she's got the best little headshot because she knows how to stick out her chin.
She
And I
put
think
that chin out, yeah.
But I think every woman should know this.
I agree.
Or when she stands up to give a presentation, she knows how to hold herself.
I mean, you walk into a room and you present yourself well, like you said, and you stand right, people notice. I've had people come up to me just in a crowd and say, I just want to tell you, like, you know, you have the most beautiful posture. And I think to myself, that's the strangest compliment, but at the same time, it's from modeling. It's from modeling. You're just aware of how you're sitting, how you're holding yourself. And, you know, it's not really about what other people are thinking. It's more about first impressions and presenting yourself well so that you can be confident to say or do whatever it is you want to do in this life. But it does definitely help, I think, you know, especially when people don't know you and you know, they're making assumptions about you. It's a first impression that is a wonderful first impression, how you carry yourself. Definitely. How do you think that this industry differs from the modeling industry? And then I'm not going to keep you here forever, but
the pageant industry.
Pageant industry. What have you noticed that's different about it and than the modeling industry, especially with the walking?
Well, just as a whole, and I'll probably get a lot of smack for this. I love the girls I work with. I will say that, but I find, funny enough, the pageant industry to be a lot more cutthroat.
Yeah.
And ruthless. I have so much respect for the girls who put themselves out on that stage. Because not only are you being critiqued for the way you walk, but how your body looks in a swimsuit or whatever it is. It's also your brains.
Yeah.
You have to answer these questions. And so you really put yourself out there. Like we go up and we model, and it's what we're modeling. They're going up there and they're being judged by who they are.
Yeah.
Or
what they say.
What they
and
say.
Then what they look like.
You know, and I mean, I'm new to the environment, but what I've seen behind the scenes, like these directors and sometimes people who are there don't have the best intentions. So there's a lot of toxicity. But at the same time, there's a lot of us and other people who really are there for the girls and want to see them shine and be better.
It just try to help them be the better version of themselves.
Exactly. And I think the experience is great. Like I think these girls go, if they realize, hey, it's not about the crown, it's about the journey and how much they grow. And I see these girls grow. Mentally, emotionally, physically, it's absolutely amazing. So will I let Emmy do it? Yes, if she wants to do it. Obviously with the right guidance. Yeah. Yes, even though I've seen the downside, but there's downside to everything, right? Even the modeling business. But I feel like there's less toxicity in the modeling than the pageantry, funny enough. I've had more gray hairs from the pageant, and not so much the girls. It's from people behind the scenes that have really like given me like wrinkles and gray hairs. And,
I feel like
hurt my heart.
That's even in the modeling industry.
Right.
It's the behind the scenes. It's not usually the girls themselves or the people that are coming with the talent or the beauty. It's the surroundings or the atmosphere. Sometimes it's toxic, and sometimes it's not. So I've had some of the most amazing experiences in my life doing modeling and acting, and then some of the worst. But of course, you know, if that's our industry, that's going to happen, right? So
sometimes, again, these pageants, and a lot of my clients know I actually don't attend the pageants anymore for that reason.
Yeah.
I support the girls. I cheer them on like a mom. Like I do go to Houston because I'm an official sponsor. I might go to this one or that one, but as a whole, I don't go to the pageants anymore.
Would you recommend someone, if someone was to say, I want to be a model, is it so fun? Should I be a model? What would you say to that person? Honest, so honest, just right in your core.
I say, be great at something else first.
Yeah.
Always. So go to school. Or not even go to school. You just be great at something, find your passion, and then if this comes with, like you can do this on the side as a hobby.
At the same time.
And especially the way things are changing now with Instagram and social media. It's about the influencers. I really think this is a dying industry in a way. I don't know what's going to happen in 20 years.
Because we've got influencers now that are all models. And we're just going to be super honest. Like you can be a model online, but that person wouldn't be a model in real life 95% of the time. Because it takes so many other aspects besides looking cute in a picture online.
But now everything's, TikTok influencers or whatever it is. I was telling Emmy the other day, I think in 20 years, I don't know where this industry is going to be anymore. So really be great at something else. We're trying to make her be a pilot. Hint, hint.
What?
Wouldn't that be so cool?
That'd be so cool.
That's
a cool job. My girlfriend's daughter's doing that.
Who's?
She's going to flight school. One of my girlfriends from high school.
Yeah, I think it's so cool.
Yeah, Libby.
So Coco and I are like,
be a pilot.
And then, you're beautiful. If you work for United, you could be in there. Like,
ooh, they're going to have her in all the
videos,
ads.
right? Because they use their
Welcome
employees.
to United. Welcome aboard the flight.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we're like trying to brainwash her into that. Be great at that. Be a pilot. And then you'll work for United. And they're like, oh my God, look at this pilot. She's beautiful. She's gorgeous.
Pilot.
Maybe she should do, you know, whatever watch or jewelry or this or that or the uniforms.
Yeah.
And it'll just kind of snowball.
So I'm going to show your family's gorgeous photo during this podcast too, just so they can see what we're talking about when we're talking about these very dark Bulgarian looking gorgeous children that you have. And I don't want to keep you here all day. I literally wanted to get to like all the modeling stuff you've done, which we didn't even get to all the stuff I wanted to talk about because you've done so much. I mean, she worked in Bulgaria and she did a soap opera.
No, Bulgaria.
Sorry, not Bulgaria. See, I can't drink wine. Whatever. I can't drink wine. But you've worked in, you know, extensively in Colombia. And by the way, we didn't even get to that part. You did go back to do another soap opera. At some point in time, they wanted you to come back and do another soap opera. And you did.
I moved. My husband, he's a saint.
Yeah.
I had a 5-month-old baby.
Yeah, I remember this
and
very
I
clearly.
packed up and I moved. He stayed home. He was going to come visit me every couple of weeks. He let us move to do the soap opera.
I know, that's crazy. I was like
insane.
freaking out a little bit. I didn't want to tell you that.
I mean, I will say I have the most amazing husband.
Yeah.
He supports me in everything. He's like, this is a great opportunity. You got to do it. Pack
Yeah.
up our 6-month-old and go. I'm like, which husband
I
does
remember
that?
you talking to me about it too. And I was like, it sounds amazing. Like I would do it. But you were so torn. You were torn because you were going to leave and have to go away from your husband. And you were, you know, it's a big deal. And you got there and, you know, you realized after a little while, this isn't for me.
Right.
And I don't want to be here.
And I have a great circle
Yeah.
of support. So I sat one day after we were prepping for the soap opera, because before you start prepping and doing the pictures and rehearsing and this and that, and things just didn't feel right. And I remember I sat down and had a heart-to-heart with Mauricio, and I said, this is what's going on.
Her agent. Yeah.
And he turned to me, I remember he said, as your agent, it benefits me for you to stay because, you know, obviously it's the fame and then you get jobs and we make money together. Like, this is a really great opportunity for us as a business. He's like, but as your friend, as family, you need to go home.
Wow.
And I did.
And that's the kind of agent you need. And that's the kind of agent not everybody gets.
Right.
But that kind of agent is the agent that ends up being one of your best friends.
Yes.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. So I'm so glad you came today. I feel like I need to let you go because it's been so long. I'm going to have to make this into 2 podcasts. I don't even know if people are going to want to listen to all this, but I'm fascinated by it. And I'm thrilled that I got to hear some things that I hadn't heard before. And
I love you.
I love you too. And I don't know why I'm crying. So I'm emotional. We're chicks, okay? We're allowed to be emotional. But these are some stories I've never heard before. And so it's really nice to get to know things about your best friends that you never heard before. But she's a supermodel, and we didn't even get into all that cool stuff that she's done in her life. But it's pretty awesome. And one day I think your children are going to be blown away when they realize what all you've
finally
done.
know I'm cool.
When they finally realize you're cool, right? I'm hoping that with my son too. I have an 18-year-old that one day he thinks I'm cool, but one day they're going to think you're the coolest, and I'm going to make sure they know. So thank you for coming on to my very first Off the Runway. It was a pleasure having you.
It was fun.
Good.
I love that. Next time, tequila shots.
There you go. Tequila on the next go round.
Yes.
For sure. Okay.